Welcome back to another podcast episode of the Shine and Thrive Photography Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Monica, and today we're going to be chatting all about copy and why you should care about it as a photographer. My guest is the amazing Rachel Greiman, and I'm going to first give you a sense of what we're diving into, what you're going to learn in this episode. Then I'm going to get into telling you a little bit more about Rachel, and then you'll be able to dive right in. So you're going to learn in this episode how copy can fit into a photographer's marketing plan. So you're really going to want to listen to this if you want to attract and book more of your ideal clients, why copy might be a good or a bad investment in your business, how copy is different from content and why you should care about the difference, and the do's and don'ts for writing your own copy. And a little bit about Rachel. So Rachel Greiman is a copywriter and documentary family photographer based in Denver, Colorado. She owns Green Chair Stories, which is a company committed to taking photographs and writing words that look and sound like real people. She also believes that cookies are a perfectly acceptable breakfast food. Love that. As long as you eat some salad later. She lives with her giant dog, which is an 80-pound Bernedoodle named Bernadette, and her giant husband, a 6'6" man named Travis, and her currently little, but probably soon to be giant babies in a bungalow in the city. I love how she added that like flair of personality and painted that picture of who she is, what she does, and all of that. So, oh my gosh, this chat has so much value in it. And I'm just going to stop talking so you can just start learning. All right. Enjoy the chat. Rachel, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. We're going to have so much fun diving into and nerding out all about copy. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for having me. I am also pumped to be here.
And as we talked about, we're going to do a little icebreaker game.
Okay.
Just because I felt like it. I always start every guest interview in a whole different way because I like variety, and I'm sure my listeners do too, right? So to get to know you better, let's play 2 truths and a lie. So I'm gonna, so you let me know the 3 things, and I have to pick which one is the lie. So go for it.
I wrote some down to have ideas.
Yeah.
So, I shaved my head in college.
Okay.
I grew up Amish, and I majored in photojournalism in college.
Oh my God. I'm like typing it out so I remember, and I'm like, I totally just spelled Amish wrong. Like, I don't even know how to spell that. And
the last sounds.
The last one was that you majored in.
I majored in photojournalism in college.
Okay. Photojournalism. I'll just say what I think the lie is. Okay. Grew up Amish.
It is.
Yes.
But not far. I did grow up Mennonite, and all my neighbors were Amish.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That is so cool.
Yeah. It's not what you think. Like, I feel like we drove cars.
Okay. Yeah.
And had electricity.
Yeah. Mennonite is like kind of like the in-between.
Yes. There's actually a lot of Mennonites in Canada where you are. But I'm from Lancaster, which is like the mecca of Amish Mennonite culture in the States. Like, there's so many there. That's where the Germans immigrated to. But yeah, Mennonites typically, not always, are less conservative than Amish. But yeah, like all my neighbors drove horse and buggy where I grew up.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And wait, tell me about the shaved head situation.
Oh, I played soccer in college, and it was the first game of my freshman year. And we were all on the sidelines because I was not a starter at that time. And they were all like, if we win the national championship this year, I'm going to get this tattoo. I'm going to do this. And we had never won as a program before ever. So I was like, if we win the national championship, I will shave my head. And then we did. So I had to do it.
Oh my God. Wait, how old were you?
18.
Oh my gosh. That is so badass.
I mean, kind of that. Like, all you're doing is going to classes. Like, it's not like I was interviewing for jobs or anything.
I know, but still there's so many, like, especially I find for like, actually, I can't specify for females. It's both males and females. Overall, just humans, right? They can identify so much with like their confidence with their hair.
Oh yeah.
Right. And the fact that you were able to just do that and fucking own it is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I think I probably at the time wanted attention, and that was like a very obvious way to do it. Like, I always loved attention. I grew
Oh
up in
my
a big family,
gosh.
so it was in short supply and I got it wherever I could.
So fearless and also self-aware.
Yeah.
To
Now,
look
I
at
don't know
that.
that I would have said that then, but
Yeah. But yeah, in retrospect,
yeah.
that's so funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm so excited to start off this chat because I haven't had a guest yet that is an expert on copywriting, and especially with what you do. You literally specialize in helping photographers with their
Yep.
copy on their website. So it's just so perfect for my audience. So
Yeah.
you guys want to pay attention to this episode because you're going to learn so much about where you need to focus your energy on when it comes to your messaging. And so I think, where do I want to start off? Maybe even just finding out, how does copy fit into a photographer's marketing plan?
Yeah.
And maybe first, can you say like what copy is? Because I think
Yeah.
for a lot of photographers, it's the first time they're hearing this
Yeah.
term. Because I know the first time I heard it, it was like a weird term.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is it called that? So maybe just kind of like let us know what that is, and then let us know how it could fit well into a photographer's marketing plan.
Yeah. So copy is basically just words that sell. Like
Mm,
anything you read in the world that makes you consider purchasing something is a line of copy. So advertisements, billboards, magazine ads, when you're flipping through, even commercials can have copy sometimes. Obviously, that's a different piece of it. But, and when it pertains to photographers, copy is very specifically the words on your website, because those are the words that should work the hardest to sell what you do. And that's why they're really important, because your
mhm.
photos can't tell people what to do. They can
Yeah.
just show people how good you are. So that's what copy is.
Okay, got it. And what are some parts of the website that are important to pay attention to make sure you have
Yeah.
strong copy?
Every page.
Yes.
Every page should have a direction, because even if that page's purpose is not to sell them on your services, like your portfolio page or your blog page, their job isn't to get people to like hit sign up or purchase.
Mhm.
But their job is to direct people where you want them to go. So every blog post should have a call to action at the bottom saying, do you want photos like these? Reach out, take them to your
Mhm.
contact page. Your portfolio, even if there's 2 lines, be like, here's examples of my work. If you want something similar, reach out. Your copy's job is to lead people where you want them to go, which is ultimately your contact page.
Got it. So you kind of want to like even design like a journey that you want to make
Yes.
sure they're going
Mm-hmm.
on, and
Mm-hmm.
imagine that, right?
Yep. Well, from the beginning, before you even write it, you want to map out how you want them to travel. And
Mm.
that's exactly what I say always, is a journey from wherever they land to the contact page. Like there always needs to be a map that gets them there. And your copy is the guide to that end destination. So when you think about, and like you said, like how does it fit into your marketing plan? Well, where are people coming from? How are
Mhm.
they getting to your website? And if they're coming from a blog post, then there needs to be a very clear path from that blog post to your contact page.
Right.
If you have a very SEO rich, like resource heavy page that's getting a lot of like direct hits from Google, or let's say you give out let's say you are on a lot of podcasts and you give out your services page on that podcast instead of your homepage, then your service page has to very clearly lead to the contact page.
Ooh, I like how you just clearly said that. It's like, okay, maybe check your website analytics. Where is your traffic coming from? If it's
Mm-hmm.
coming from a blog post, think about the outsiders that have never maybe heard of you before.
Right.
They're seeing you for the first time. They engage in your blog post. They scroll down. It's like, oh, what's the next step? Right?
Right.
Invite them to
Right.
do something.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. And how about, what if someone's main kind of traffic source is Instagram? Like, what
Okay.
would you say is like the place to focus on in that part of the journey?
Absolutely. So Instagram is really interesting because it's changing so much, and you kind of have to constantly analyze where people are landing from that platform.
Mhm.
Now that you can just link in your stories, are you posting something and then you can just link like contact me in your story, and are people going straight to your contact page?
Mhm.
And or like there's shoppable pins. I don't know if photographers can quite like put a link out from a caption. Like I think they have to go to your actual like profile to see
Mhm.
like the link tree or whatever.
Yeah.
But if people are coming from Instagram, they're finding you on there and they love your work, then I would absolutely just have one call to action in your like website on your portfolio and have that lead directly to the contact page.
Yes. Okay.
Because not all photographers have this setup, but some photographers are so active on Instagram and all of their inquiries and leads are coming from there that you're just adding another step if you have that as your homepage.
That's, oh my gosh. So yay, I'm doing the right thing. Cause I was like,
Yep.
because that was my exact thought process. I'm like, okay, if I want people to reach out to me through Instagram, I'm like, would I link the homepage of my website? But then I'm like, but people are busy. People have short attention spans. Like, what if the couple's like, homepage, I just want to find, where do I contact her? They would like exit out maybe if they get frustrated. So
absolutely.
just on the contact page. And so that's why it's obviously probably very important to have certain things on the contact page.
Right.
That will also ensure that they follow through with filling out the form, because that's another step, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any tips on like what is like a must to have like on the contact page?
I love talking about contact pages because nobody talks about them, and they
Nerd alert.
I'm the same. Exactly. No, bring it on. Yeah. I read the same exact copy on every photographer's website. And it's always like, I'm so glad you're here. I can't wait to get to know you better and hear all about your story. Fill out this form and I'll reach back within 48 hours. Like I can recite it off the top of my head because everyone listening has that. Like I know that they all do. Because all of my clients
I literally have guilty. I have a paragraph that says that.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't even read it before I started. That's how common it is.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about this. Maybe we won't. Sometimes you want things about your website to be extremely intuitive. Like the navigation should be extremely intuitive and very similar to other photographers, because that's not the place to show quirkiness. Like, and because you don't want to use a word that doesn't resonate with the audience. If they have 10 tabs open, you want your contact page to be in the same exact spot in that navigation that everybody else's is. That way, when they gravitate there, they find what they're looking for. But once you get to that contact page, that's the spot where you close the loop on the idea that you introduce on the homepage. Your homepage should introduce your unique way of viewing the world and viewing your work and viewing the value of photography, whatever you do, family weddings. That first section on your homepage should jump into the conversation your reader is having. It should meet them exactly where they are. So they go, oh my gosh, she gets me, or I agree with that. So it's really identifying. So whatever that big idea is that you introduce on the homepage, you need to close the loop on the contact page. So you need to reference it, not directly, don't say the same thing, but it needs to be something that will resonate in the same way with that ideal reader. So, and you don't want it to be long, because I see a lot of pages too that have like scroll and scroll and scroll until they get to the form. You want the top of that form to at least be peaking above the fold. Like you don't want them to scroll at all on desktop to have to get to the form.
Got it.
So, and you don't want them
I'm going to take that tip because I have a little bit too much scrolly going on.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, that's just one more step for them to, it's one more task for them to have to perform to get into your inbox. So it is a fine line of like showing personality, having something that resonates with them, but also getting them to the point of what you want them to do. And I always say you want to have at least a question or two that's personalized and gives them the opportunity to show their personality a little bit, because then you can riff on that in your response to them. Like you can personalize your inquiry response so much more if you have any information from them about anything, like the kind of wedding they're having, what they love most about their partner, what they like to drink or eat, like even little things like that. It gives you something to say in response.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I created an episode on this like a while back. I wish I knew which episode it was, but it was the 10 things you must have in your contact form, like the actual form that they're filling out. Yeah. And it breaks my heart when I see a photographer just have the main message at the bottom, just say message. It's like, oh my gosh, no,
it's such a lost opportunity.
Yeah. Like what are 3 random facts about you two? What do you love to do together for fun? What's one of your favorite quotes? Like anything to get their personality, to understand their personality. Because like you said, you get to have so much material to work with to then connect with them on a deeper level with your response.
And if you need
So
ideas, just go listen to the intros of Sarah's episodes, because she uses a different intro on every one. So you can just steal from her.
yeah, exactly. Okay. So curious, actually, can you hear my dog barking right now?
Oh yeah, but she's fine. My dog
Yeah.
will join her in a moment. Don't worry.
I'm like, my poor little conehead Abby is just dealing with her little, she has a little eye infection for those of you listening. So she has to be a conehead. And so she's just a little more bothered.
She's also
Uh,
like, this baby is about to come.
that's
Like
true.
she's getting stressed.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Already so many great tips. Okay. So how about the difference actually between copy and content?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I still need a little bit more clarity. I think I get it, but I know a lot of people are like, do I want to get help with copywriting or content writing? And
Right.
also, why should photographers care to know the difference?
Yeah. That's a great question. And I always think of Instagram as like the primo content sphere for photographers, because that's where you are trying to get people to like, know, and trust you. You are just building up a rapport. You can post funny things. Like, not every single thing you post is going to be directing them to your contact page.
Mhm.
You're not just sell on there. You are giving people a glimpse into the reason why you do this, the reason you're different than other photographers, why your couples love you. You should be posting reviews and testimonials on there. So I always, my sister used to be part of an MLM, and they always called it warm chatting. Like, if they were like at the grocery store and a woman was talking about her makeup, they could like just like have a friendly conversation that would lead into her like selling them makeup.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
we always make fun of it now.
Yeah.
But that's like the best term that I
Yeah.
can come up with about what Instagram is. Like, you're warm chatting your audience, basically saying, don't you love me? Like, isn't
Yeah.
this fun? Aren't you having a good
Don't we have
time
these
here?
things in common? Aren't I relatable?
Yeah, exactly. And that's not a bad thing. Like, that's not a manipulative thing to just show your personality and show why you're good at this. You're still selling a product at the end of the day.
Mhm.
But that's content, because content isn't a direct conversion. Like,
Yeah.
you're not saying, click here, buy this. You're
Mhm.
saying, don't you want to stick around?
Yeah.
And
Oh, I love
that's
that.
kind of
Yeah.
how blogs are too. Like, you'll learn in many, like, if you study under other photography mentors or educators, a lot of people will tell you to have really, really resource heavy blog posts
Mhm.
that are good for SEO. So like, I live in Colorado, like the 10 best summits to elope in Colorado, like, because people are Googling that. And
Yeah.
then you have a really long blog post of all of the different ways people can elope or places. That is content, because it's
Mhm.
getting you found, but it's not necessarily making the sale for you.
Yeah.
But like an email list, like, I write copy in my emails because I'm saying, buy this from me with
Mhm.
this button. You're not
Yeah.
necessarily saying that in a blog post or on Instagram. So that's the difference between content and copy. Copy asks for a sale. Content warms them up to it.
And says, want to stick around?
Yeah,
I
want to
love how
stick
you said
around?
that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the reason that photographers should care about the difference is because it makes it a lot easier to create copy or content when you know the purpose. When you define the purpose of whatever you're posting, it changes the language that you use, and it changes the format of how you set it up. If you're
Yeah.
just being a resource, you're just being helpful.
Yeah.
You're not like trying to not manipulate a sale, but you're not trying to like give them a hard sell at the end.
Yeah.
But if you are trying to sell something like your services, like, your inquiry response is copy. It's not content,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're trying to get them on the phone with you, or you're trying to get them to sign your contract.
That's so true. So yeah, so knowing the difference is important, because then photographers can feel confident that whatever they're putting out there, they know that maybe they're creating 70% content to like keep people around, keep
Right.
connected, and then 30% selling so people don't feel oversold or overwhelmed by
Exactly.
that. Okay.
And it
Love
kind of
that.
feeds into your question of before about how does copy fit into your marketing plan? And
Mhm.
it's like, well, it depends what your marketing plan is. There's a million ways to market
Yeah.
your business. So you need to pick your lanes that you like. And then you need to make sure that if someone's only following you on Instagram, they're not only being sold to,
Yeah.
or if someone's only on your email list, that you're never telling them that they can hire you.
Yeah.
You need to have that appropriate balance so people feel like they're being communicated to in a respectful way. you know?
Yeah. And when you kind of have a conscious understanding of how to create that balance and that you're actually doing it, then maybe when it does come time to be like, hey, I do this and I'm so passionate about it, please reach out to me if you're getting married in 2023, whatever, then you'd feel less terrified, maybe, and less guilty
100%.
that you have that ask, because maybe sometimes you're like, oh, I don't like selling, it's icky, I don't know, like,
Yeah,
but if you realize, hey, I've been just like giving and like just being free and not at all selling, like I'm allowed to like show up and sell and people want this, like it'll make you feel less
absolutely.
scared to do it, probably, right?
They're there because you told them, if you're doing your marketing well, you told them what you do and you told them what you're there to serve and what to be hired for. So if they stuck around, you need to give them the opportunity to buy at some point.
Awesome. Okay, so now I'm curious.
Yeah.
When is investing in copy a good investment in your photography business? And
Mm-hmm.
when is it a bad investment? So is it timing, or is it just depending on your needs, or depending on already the skill level that you do have? Like maybe
Yeah.
go into that.
Yeah. I think this is true for most things in business. When you start out, probably DIY at first. So
Mm-hmm.
you have a good handle on how it works. So you know you have some ownership in what doesn't work and what does. So when you are ready to outsource, you can do it with a little knowledge and not just guessing. Like you're giving this person that you're hiring some data to pull from.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to copy specifically as an investment, there's a lot of things to take into account. I usually don't write for people who have not been in business for a few years or who have not photographed a lot. Because I've had people been in business for 1 year, but they photographed 25 weddings in that time on their own. They're going to be a lot further than some people who just have like a slower start.
Mm-hmm.
Because the most important thing when hiring a copywriter is being able to tell them who you want to be working with. And you don't
Yeah.
really know who that is until you've photographed people you do not like working with a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And you photograph people who you love working with a couple of times. I would say until you have at least 3 people, families, couples, whoever you photograph in each bucket, love, don't love,
Mm-hmm.
you probably shouldn't invest in full copy for your site because it's a guessing game at that point. And
Yeah.
you don't want to invest thousands of dollars in anything that you're guessing at. So it depends on who you are as a person. If you have a very clear idea of what you want, then go for it. But if you're
Yeah.
somebody who's like, I'm just still kind of figuring it out, it's like, don't waste that money. Like go spend it on like something that generates leads so you can get a little bit more, a few more weddings under your belt. So you get and gain that knowledge.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's the huge foundation for photographers. And
Yes.
I'm just going to share this right now because I feel like it's like the perfect fit to share, because I have my crystal clear marketing mini course. And that
Mm-hmm.
is literally me teaching you how to figure out who those dream clients are of
Yeah.
yours and how to attract and book them
Mm-hmm.
with content. Okay. That
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
literally what I teach in that course. So if you
Yes.
want to learn how to create that foundation first in your
Go buy
business,
it.
yeah, grab that. And then when you have that figured out and established, that's when you can invest in really strengthening your messaging everywhere on your
Right.
website, your emails, like everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to grab that course, go to sarahmonica.com/crystal clear, and that will give you that foundation. So
Yes.
I love that you said that, because it's so, you just created like such a clear, like little lesson plan for everybody where you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, first get to know this and then invest in your copy. And
Right.
those are the 2 building blocks that will build on top of each other, like such a
Yeah.
strong foundation that then it's like kind of unstoppable. Like if you have
Yes.
clarity
And
with those 2 things.
yes, absolutely. And I'm sure you see this in your coaching and education all the time, but newer photographers are, and I was a family photographer for a decade before I started doing this. And we grab at everything. It's like you start a business and it's scarcity mindset of like, I'll
Yeah.
photograph anything anybody wants me to because you're paying me.
Yeah.
And you think that by saying, I only do X, you're saying goodbye to all this potential money you could be making. And I know why it feels that way. It's counterintuitive, but once you say you do the crystal clear marketing course and you're clear about who you want to be working with, and you have a much better grasp on, how to attract them and how to market to them, then working with a copywriter takes it one step further. Within that niche of whoever you find as your quote unquote ideal clients, dream clients, there's an even smaller niche. And that's where your happiness is. I think you make money in the bigger niche, because you're reaching a lot more people. But when you can get so specific about the kind of person within that dream client that you only want to be working with every weekend, that's when you really start to love your life, because
100%.
you never have a wedding you show up to where you're dreading it.
Yeah. And on
Or a
top of
family
that,
session.
you can charge more
Yes.
per session, per wedding, because you're so specific to those people that they're like, this person was literally made for me.
Yes,
There's
exactly.
no one else that speaks to us like they do. Okay, let's just go over budget a little bit. Like I've experienced this time and
It's
time
worth
again.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So not only are you happier as an artist,
you're making more
money.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is counterintuitive at first. Like I remember 10 years ago when I started, I never thought getting specific would make more money, but that's exactly what's proven itself to me over and over again for the past decade.
Yeah, it's so fascinating, and it's terrifying, but then once you're past it, you're on the other side, you're like, why didn't I do this sooner? Right?
Yeah, because it's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything that comes to mind, Rachel? Anything else that is like a must know tip for photographers about copy, about messaging?
Yeah, I think a big thing, especially if you're newer, is that you can write it yourself. Like it's not impossible. Even if you think you're terrible with words, or, oh, I was so bad in English class, this is very different. This is not English. Like it doesn't even need to be perfect grammatically for it to connect.
Yeah. You're not writing an essay, no paragraphs.
No. Yeah. Like I can give you like all these very tactical, like logical tips to writing it. But I think it's a mindset thing for a lot of people of like, they just keep bumping it to the bottom of their to-do list because it feels overwhelming and it feels like unattainable. Like they're not going to be able to do it themselves. But literally, if you can figure out who you're writing to, it becomes so much easier. Even writing about yourself becomes much easier because you're framing yourself through the eyes of that person that you're writing to. So then you can say, oh, I don't need to tell them that I love tacos and margaritas. Again, like all of you do on your website. You can just tell them what is relevant to them about you. How does the person that I am serve them? That's all they need to know about me.
Yeah. And especially when you do know your ideal client, it usually is you.
Yeah.
If you really pay attention, usually your ideal client is just someone that you would connect with easily. Maybe you share a lot of similar values or interests. And then when you have clarity on basically, usually, I'm not saying this is 100% of the time, your ideal client is pretty much you, then you're like, oh, well, I know what I like and I know what I wouldn't like in a photographer and what I would value, how I want to feel during the wedding, during the session. And it becomes so much easier to write.
And I always say like dream client, avatars, ideal client, great. Like all these names for this person, but we're not Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Like I don't need 12 avatars of different people that are buying from me at different times in different fast food places. Like that idea of marketing comes from these really big corporations that need to identify all the different types of people that buy from them. We are like one-woman shows as photographers most of the time. We know who that person is, and it's one person, and it's usually a real person. So if it's not you, I always say, pick your favorite client. Just pick your favorite client you ever worked with. Let's say her name was Sarah. And I just write down everything I loved about working with her and everything that I learned about her through the process. You know, you can even break it up into the processes. What I learned about her in the inquiry, what I learned about her on the sales call, what I learned about her in the planning process on the wedding day and in delivery. What did I learn about her at every step? And what did she need to hear from me at every step to be reassured that I was the person for her? Once the real work comes in that. The writing flows from that very easily because your whole website becomes a love letter to Sarah then, because I'm sure Sarah is a wonderful, unique person, but there's a million more like her. I'm not the most unique person in the world. There's a million more Rachels, people that would buy like me. So if I write a whole website to my favorite client, I'm going to be writing it to all the other people like her that might want to work with me.
Yeah. And you can even, one thing that's so powerful is pay attention to when people write you back, thanking you for photos for the photos and the experience. The things that they are thanking you for were the things that stood out to them and they valued. And so that's what you want to highlight over and over again, that you actually provide in the experience, because they're like, you made our family and friends feel so comfortable. Then on your website, you can say, I'm the one that's going to make your family and friends feel so comfortable, you know? And actually, I love how you said, because I also subscribe to the idea that there's no like one dream client. It's not like one human. I actually think of it more as a community, a group of people. So if you take, from your memories, all of your favorite clients and put them into like a little lump and a little circle. Yeah. It's like, those are my people. It's like, a little community. So then you don't have to feel as like pressured or stressed that like, oh my God, am I perfectly appealing to this one person? What if they don't like this part about me? It's like, in general, this group of people aligns in these sort of ways, right?
Yes. Yeah. This is what they all have in common. And another thing to note, because a lot of people will teach you to look at your reviews and testimonials after someone's worked with you, which is so important. And it gives you a lot of content for your website. But something for that big idea on your homepage, you want to look at the questions people have asked you when they inquire, because that's what they're missing from the site that's out there.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to show them, you want to meet them where they're at. And that inquiry that they send you is them telling you where they're at, because these are people that are at that, the moment of highest tension is what it's called in copy. The moment of highest tension is the moment before they say yes. So you need to figure out what their hesitation is that's keeping them at that moment of tension, and then what you said to push them over the edge, because that is where your message lies. Because the people on your website they don't know that they want their family and friends to feel comfortable yet. They just know that they have this question.
Got it. Okay. So tell me if this is a good example of what you just said.
Yeah.
So for example, mostly the questions that I get are, can you just give us some more information on collections?
Yeah.
And they say, oh, we love your approach. It speaks to us so much, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Can we get more answers on pricing? Because I don't have pricing on my website, but I have my whole approach on my website.
Yeah.
So does that mean
your approach
that they
is
have
good?
clarity?
That means it's resonating.
That they have clarity on it, right? Because if someone was reaching out and saying, hey, can you just give us an idea of like your approach on shooting wedding days, and like how, like maybe we can like chat and you could tell us how you approach shooting wedding days. That means that they aren't sure. Like, do you have a documentary approach? Are you very posy? Right. So
exactly.
If no one's really asking me that means it's being addressed on my website.
Exactly. That means you're doing a good job. And it also means, do you get on a call with people when they want more information about collections?
No, I've figured out a system to eliminate that.
Me too.
I pretty much I'm like, I want all, like you just said, like, think about all the questions that they're asking you and make sure they're answered beforehand. I do it on social media, on my website.
Then that way, that means you're winning.
Yeah. People just write me and say, we want to book you, just tell us the pricing. And it's always over email. So,
okay. So if you're getting that means you're doing a good job in whatever you're doing. But if you're not, and you are getting those questions of like, I don't understand how this works, and a lot of people still have sales calls as part of their process. I would record a couple of them if I were someone listening that wanted to improve their copy, and see what questions people have for you and what you're reiterating over the phone to help people feel more confident when they inquire, that they're already 2 steps further toward hiring you.
Yeah. Such a big piece of advice, because not only are you making the process easier for them, because think about everything that they have to do in the wedding planning process, and they'll appreciate that. They'll be like, oh my God, it's so effortless and easy to get all the information I need from this person. That means I'm assuming that the rest of the process will be effortless and easy.
Your website sets the expectation for the process.
Yeah. And on top of that, your life will be so much easier because you'll have less steps in your workflow.
Your calls can either be half the time or eliminated.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe the days that I used to drive to like Toronto 1 hour one way to do have a meeting, and then come back and be like 4 hours of my day. I'm like, nope, this needs to be figured out.
It's like half a wedding day.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. This has been such a great conversation. So many great pieces of advice.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Touch on, yeah, of course. I do want to touch on, because I know you mentioned that you're mom of 2, and with the pandemic and everything. So this is going to be a little bit of a pivot on our topic, but I feel like I really want to touch on it because I personally have no experience yet of navigating kids in a pandemic. And even though I'm going to be a mom soon, it's going to be a newborn in a pandemic. So I don't have to deal yet with like the toddler stage. So I won't have that advice for you guys for years. So, well, let's hope, but we don't need to have that advice in years. So hopefully it's all over. Right. But Rachel said that she would be happy to talk about how she has navigated having two little kids while working from home in a pandemic. And I love how she wrote this. She's like, how to structure it for you and not against you. So anything that's on your heart, Rachel, that you think the moms that are listening right now that are feeling overwhelmed, trying to work from home, have kids, yeah, let them know what has worked for you.
Yeah. And I think everybody is in their own special little hell as a mom in the pandemic. Like we all have different circumstances and different, relationships with partners or no partner or, daycare situations. Like everybody has their own like COVID math to figure out kind of. That's how I approach it. It's like math all day trying to problem solve. But what we were just talking about eliminating things from your business that don't matter, like that phone call wasn't actually, or you driving to Toronto wasn't actually benefiting your business in any way. And I think the pandemic kind of was like shining a light on pieces of my business that were extra and that I was doing because I thought I needed to. And I cut out all sales calls. Like I just completely changed the way that I respond to inquiries to make sure that they had everything that they need. And I mean, obviously I'm a copywriter, so I can write a really convincing email, but that's something that like, if you're a mom and you're dealing with toddlers, maybe you need to hire a copywriter to write your inquiry response template. So it is dialed in and it's perfect. So it keeps you off the phone. There were just certain things that I was doing. Phone calls were a big one. I changed my schedule of when I work. My brain shuts down after 1 p.m. for writing. I cannot write after that time. So, and honestly speaking, like if I'm on a podcast, I have to do it before then because I just don't function well. But
that's
my
so
brain,
funny. It's literally, oh, wait, what's your time zone? Are we different time
Mountain
zones?
Standard.
Oh, okay, so we're different. Okay,
Yeah.
because it's literally 5 minutes till 1 p.m. And I was gonna make the joke of like, okay, 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes until Rachel's just
No,
gonna
I've got
pop
time.
over.
It's 5 till 11 here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm in
Okay.
my sweet spot.
Yeah.
But my brain does fire on all cylinders at 5 a.m. That is the time, like I do not have a difficult time getting out of bed. My house is completely quiet. And again, it's your special circumstance. Like a year ago, I have a 1-year-old. He was not sleeping through the night at 6 months. So I was not getting up at 5 a.m. to work a year ago. But when he started sleeping through the night, I think it was this fall, I started waking up and it's revolutionized everything because I can work for an hour or two before they get up. And then it's like, I can be done with the hard part of my day, the brain part of my day by 1. I can do like accounting or look on reels for inspiration. Like I can do the fun stuff after 1 that doesn't require my like active thinking. So I think just kind of examining things and not really listening to other people's advice because it doesn't make sense for your life. Like some moms are going to be listening and be like, 5 a.m. must be nice to me. And I would have done that a year ago. I would have never listened to this advice. But let's say your brain works best until midnight, then you need to structure your day so you're taking a nap when your kids nap. Or like figure out what time works for you and don't listen to anyone else because there is no right or wrong here. And also I say all of this with the most gigantic grain of salt in that like now might not be the time to hit the gas pedal on your business. And that's okay. I, at the beginning of 2021, called my writers. I have a team of writers and I called them and I was like, hey, this is going to be our last year. I can't do this. Like when it became very clear to me that we were in this for another year and I had a 7-month-old and a almost 3-year-old, I just decided I couldn't do it anymore. And I was like, I can't be the one to do this. And they were so disappointed and it surprised me. And they said, well, why don't we do the writing and you do everything else? So I stopped writing for websites during 2021. I wrote 4 the whole year and I had written 25 the year before. So I just completely restructured what my responsibilities were in my business just to keep the doors open. And I held it really openly to like, I had to meet a minimum so I could pay myself my minimum check every month. And then something really beautiful happened and I started to like it again and I could be more creative. So I took the pressure off myself to make money. And so it slowed down for a little bit, but then by halfway through the year, I was like, okay, I'm rejuvenated. I can do this again. So I just think every mom needs such a healthy dose of grace for herself right now, alongside, just doing what makes you happy and fills you up. Like if it's a new project, then do the new project. Say goodbye to whatever you're doing before. If it's making you miserable, like life is long. We're not going to be in this forever. And whatever you can do to keep your doors open and not be miserable, that's what it is. And no one else can define that for you right now.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah.
And what I got out of that is three things: problem solving, restructuring if needed, and being fluid to change. And I think if anything, if we are all in this together as a collective learning something, it's that holy shit, change is the only constant in life.
It's it.
And how can we respond in a way that is fluid and not reactive in the sense of like emotionally reacting? It's like, okay, let's take a look at what's going on. Okay. How can I solve this one problem today of my kid is, not focusing on his laptop at school. Right. I just have to focus on that one thing today. How can I maybe problem solve today?
Absolutely.
If I haven't figured it out today, at least I tried. Let me try again tomorrow. Like, I love how you said like giving yourself that grace, because it's so easy to spiral down, be like, I'm not doing it enough, or like comparing your current self of how much you were accomplishing to before the pandemic as well. Oh my gosh. I know.
And becoming a new mom. Like you're going to do both. Like, and I did both with two. I brought my second into the world after the pandemic, and it was like becoming a mom of two is very hard, no matter what time of life it is. Then doing it in a pandemic, becoming a first-time mom is really hard, but doing it, it's just an added layer to everything. And I just want to be very clear that like, I do not have this figured out. This is coming from a woman who was crying to her husband this weekend and being like, everybody tells you to just focus on what you can control. And it just feels like that window is getting smaller and smaller every day. I don't control anything because that's just kind of how the pandemic feels right now. And like, we're recording this at like the height of Omicron. So I'm sure it's going to be different by the time this gets published, but those feelings of not being able to control, those are not unique to you. Like you're not alone. We all feel it. I was just reading an article about these moms getting together in a field to scream.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like literally they were socially distanced.
Is it summer or is it winter? Because
winter.
What?
It's winter. They're getting together at like 10 p.m. at night after their kids are in bed in winter coats, lined up on a soccer field, socially distanced, just screaming into the darkness.
I just got like chills. That is so beautiful. I don't know why.
So I started researching.
Cry even.
I know. Well, because it's so sad.
No, but it's like but no, you know what it is? It's like,
both.
Yes,
it's
the
very
reason
cool.
is sad, but like the community coming to, it's such a primal way to get together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was researching a place to do it in Denver because I'm like, oh, me and all my friends would love to do that right now.
Yeah. That's incredible. Oh my gosh.
So anyway, you're not alone. We're all like making it up right now.
And it's so important to also feel the emotions and release them, right? Like the screaming is that, but also crying. Like, man, if I feel like I'm having a breakdown crying, I'm just gonna just let it out. And then it's like cathartic and you're like, okay, maybe now my head is clear. Maybe now I can problem solve. No, I'm going to go watch some reality TV. Okay.
But doing that next to someone is even more powerful because it's like, oh, I'm not crazy. This is terrible. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks that way.
Yeah. And I love how you mentioned even eliminating things from your business that, you realize, oh, I don't actually have to be doing this. So this is why I am so freaking passionate about outsourcing, especially I cannot wait to like now be a mom and then be an example to moms that, yes, I am a mom and I have that part of my business figured out. And let me show you the way, because, oh man, if you could just even eliminate editing, like from your like workflow, that will save you so many hours. Like Rachel, because you're,
oh my gosh,
like
1,000%,
so many hours. And the whole thing that I teach is you don't even have to, fully eliminate editing. You can still edit a little chunk and then send it to your editor and it's all good to go. Everything will turn out exactly how you want it. There's a learning curve, but it's possible to get the results that you want in your editing while someone else doing it for you. And then you have this so much space open up and be available to you. Then you get to actually be like, you know what? Instead of me seeing the kids at home maybe as a burden or a negative, or, oh my God, how am I going to navigate this? Maybe you're like, wow, my editing's taken care of. That's taken care of. You know what? I get to enjoy this chapter in our lives together as a family with a little bit more time. This is a gift. Your perspective changes. So if you can take control of making decisions a little bit differently in your business in this time of change, you can create those moments in your life where you're realizing this is happening for me instead of to me.
Right. And not only that, you can book more. If you're not editing, like you can shoot more. You can instantly do the thing that you started this. The reason you started this is because you love shooting and you love interacting with families or weddings, whatever it is.
Exactly.
If you can outsource things and pay a little bit of money to do that, then you get to do the thing you love even more.
Yeah. While spending more time with your family at the same time. You can have it all.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh my gosh. This has been such an amazing chat. Rachel, like, thank you so much for your openness. And I love everything that we covered. And I'm so grateful also for you sharing your perspective as a mom, because I like always wish, I wish I had that like for my mom listeners, but I don't. So I'm just so grateful that you were able to share that with them.
Of course.
And
open book over here.
Pardon?
I said open book over here.
Yeah. And let everybody know where they can find you, what resources you have available for them. I'm sure they're like, yes, I want to connect with Rachel.
I am on Instagram all the time. It's just at Green Chair Stories. That's the name of my business. And I answer DMs, every single one. So if you message me, I promise to respond. And then my website is just greenchairstories.com. And if you go on there, there's a freebie in the footer where it will help you figure out your copy lenses. I always say it's like the opposite of beer goggles. Like you put them on before you write, and it's like the lens you look through every time you write content or copy for your website or for your business. And then I have a couple digital products. I have email templates for wedding photographers. It's an email for every step of your workflow. And then I have a DIY guide. If you want to write your own website, it takes you through the exact process I take all my one-on-one clients, but you do it yourself. And by the end, you should have a beautifully written website. So both of those are on my website too. And you can have, you can get 15% off at the code is SHINE15 for listeners of Sarah's podcast.
Awesome. Wow. That's incredible. Those are powerful ass resources.
Yeah. There's not many, but they work.
Thank you for the coupon code too. That's so generous.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, you guys go follow Rachel at Green Chair Stories, connect with her. I'm sure she would love to hear if this episode helped you in any way. And also make sure to, if right now you're like, oh my God, this episode is so good, like screenshot it, tag both of us. So tag Rachel at Green Chair Stories, and also me, Sarah Monica Photo on Instagram. And we would love to reshare and just connect with you on there. Thanks so much, Rachel, and
thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
This was so much fun. I'll connect with you soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Yay! Thank you so much for hanging out with me and tuning into this episode. If you got value out of it, please feel free to message me on Instagram at Sarah Monica Photo. That's Sarah no H, Monica with a K, photo, to let me know. I get so freaking energized hearing from others that what I've said has had a positive impact on their lives. Also, make sure to hit subscribe to the Shine and Thrive podcast to never miss an episode. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm sending you all the productive vibes your way so you have the best week ever.